Welcome to another recap of Rupaul's Drag Race, Season 8, and this is Episode 6. I had to look because I forgot for a second. This was the Wizards of Drag episode. Now, I was really looking forward to this because I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan, and so I really wanted to see how they sort of mesh those two things together. I'm a big RuPaul's Drag Race fan, big Wizard of Oz fan. So they did Wizards of Drag, and somehow they got in there some munchkins or Little Women. So that was kind of interesting. But just to back up for a second, there at the beginning when they got back from the last elimination, Naomi was having a little bit of a meltdown because of they criticized her look that she's always wearing, bras and panties and something else, but pretty skimpy stuff, in other words. And I agree that she needs to step it up. She needs to really do something else, like do a really glamorous look, something like that. She mentioned, by the way, her drag aesthetic and that they don't get it. Well, honestly, I'm not seeing a lot of drag aesthetic. I don't know what the aesthetic is. I mean, he seems like a good person and he's got a lot of good qualities. And as a drag queen, she's got some great qualities as well. But I think he's got a lot of maturing to do. And drag wise, he's what, 21 years old? So, there's a long way to go. And I think you've got to be open to learning and changing. And I think he will. I think it's just hard when you first hear it and hear some of the critiques. Now, Bob, I don't know. To me, Bob is really funny at times, but also at other times he's just coming across as annoying. And I don't know, it might just be the editing, but I'm not really, I like him for the comedy part, but unlike Bianca Del Rio, who was also very funny, and it seems very naturally funny, but I also liked Bianca, and I never really found her annoying. But Bob, yeah, a lot of times I do find him annoying, so I don't know. Now they did the mini challenge for the reading is fundamental, and reading each other. I didn't think this group did very well in general. Now, of course, Bob was really good at it because that's his, comedy is his thing, and he's good with one-liners and such. So he did really well, and I'm not surprised he won. I thought he won too. Um, but some of the others, it just was kind of lame. I think Robbie did okay. And I think Chi Chi, I don't know, he had a few good things to say, but also it seemed very cut down, like we didn't see a whole lot of it. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. So, um, and then they moved on to the main challenge, which was the Wizards of Drag with the Little Women of L.A. I guess I don't watch that show, but that's what they said. And I thought it was really interesting how um, they did that. The Little Women paired up with the drag queens, and they each were to portray a character from The Wizard of Oz. Of course, not directly. They weren't dressing up like the Tin Man or something, but a version of that, sort of a drag version of some of the. So Kimchi was the Wicked Witch. Thorgy was an Emerald City person or citizen. Robbie Turner, the Lion. Bob the Drag Queen, Glinda, which was a really big stretch. But hey, if he can do Carol Channing, he can do Glinda. Derek Barry, Tin Woodsman, Naomi Smalls, The Scarecrow, and Chi Chi Dorothy. Um, so, when they did it, they had a lot of. There was actually a decent amount of interaction shown between them and the others and their partners of the Little Women, that is. Um, and I thought there was a lot of thought by some of the queens, like Kim Chi, and even Derek. I thought he put a lot of thought into it, and I don't know. I don't remember seeing a whole lot of what Naomi did with her partner, or a lot of interaction. I don't think they showed a huge amount. Thorgy also didn't get as much screen time this time, which is okay. Can't do it every week. And Chi Chi, there was a decent amount shown, and I guess that some of the queens felt like he wasted a lot of time or he didn't utilize all his time. In the end, I thought his outfit was okay. I know during Untucked, Derek especially made a really huge deal out of there was no sewing on that outfit, and he didn't think it was very good, and his was better, I guess, in his mind because he did so. To me, I don't care if you hot glue the whole outfit. If it looks good, it looks good. And I did think Chi Chi's looked good. I certainly wouldn't say great, but also to do his partners too, I thought he did a pretty good job with what he had to work with and his skills, as he said. Now, I totally do agree with the judges that it's just lazy to not do boobs in that. And he talks about, well, you can't cinch to have more of a female body or something like that. Yeah, but you can add boobs, you can add falsies, and then that would certainly help, because it did look terrible on top when they zoomed in on it. I mean, I hadn't noticed yet because they hadn't focused on that area, but it did look bad. So now, as far as their performances, I thought some of the standouts as far as the runway were Kim Chi, definitely, with the Wicked Witch look. That's the runway look I'm talking about. Thorgy as the Emerald City Citizen I thought that was really good, and I've been in the Wizard of Oz on stage 3 times. I thought that was good. Now, it wasn't the best fabric on earth, but it was what he had to work with, I'm assuming. But the overall look was good. And it sort of reminded me of a cross between Wicked and The Wizard of Oz, that look. Because it certainly wasn't the old time look of The Wizard of Oz. It was actually a little more on the Wicked side of Emerald City. And then, let's see, I think I also liked Chi Chi's Dorothy. I thought that wasn't bad. It was good, but not great. So my two favorites in that were Kim Chi and Thorgy on the runway. Now, for the interpretive dance, which I forget who it was. Was it Chi Chi or was it Naomi who kept saying, I think it was Naomi, what's interpretive dance? I mean, it's interpreting something through dance. I mean, it's not really that hard of a concept. So I don't get that, but the confusion. But anyway, they did it, and I was really disappointed on how they showed that, because I wanted to see each team for at least 30 seconds or a minute, whatever they could do, alone, not an intermingling of the 7 teams. That was, to me, was not a good way to show it, and it was really hard to keep track especially when you're trying to score it like I am. However, as much as I like Kim Chi's look with her partner, I did not really care for the performance, so I marked him down in that category of the performance. It was odd, like the judges said, what they were doing, and it was funny, the slap down of the little woman, but I didn't quite get it in this story. And then I didn't like Bob the Drag Queen's performance in that, and I also, by the way, didn't like his look very well at all. And yes, I know he did it very last minute, but that's poor planning on his part. Everyone else got it done, so I don't know why he was putting on his makeup 15 minutes before they go to the runway. So, I just thought he did kind of poorly in both aspects of this challenge. But that's Bob the Drag Queen. Derek was just okay, in the look, and it just wasn't great, and I didn't like it very much. The look, I mean, and then the performance was okay. Naomi Smalls. Now, I know this is going to be a minority opinion because she's getting a lot of praise online, but I didn't care for her scarecrow look. Now, again, I don't expect her to look like the scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz or something like that, but that look just was so odd. It was just odd. So I didn't care for it. And now I did like what her and her partner, that they were so close resemblance in their costumes and their makeup. So that I think was good. But and I thought their performance was good. And let's see, who else? Robbie Turner as the lion, or the lion-inspired character. It's kind of a mess. The look was kind of a mess, and I didn't really like it that much. And the performance of the two of them in their interpretive dance was okay. It was good, but again, I don't feel like we saw a lot of these things. So I would have liked to have seen more to be able to more adequately judge those performances. So in the end, my top two in this were Thorgy was my top with Chi Chi. Those were my top two, Chi Chi and Thorgy, as far as look and performance. In other words, runway and costume, or excuse me, runway and interpretive dance, not costume. So those are the two I put at the top. Now, as far as my bottom two, I would say Bob the Drag Queen was in my bottom. Well, you know what I mean, in the bottom two. And then, I kind of went back and forth on who else. Maybe Derek would have been my second one. I didn't like Naomi, so I was tempted to put her there, but when I watched it again, I guess I wouldn't. I guess it would be Derek. So Derek and Bob would have been my bottom two. The actual bottom two were Derek and Robbie. So Bob escaped. He was in the bottom three, but he was the one that was safe, like the Miss Fame of last year, so many episodes before she got out. So, yeah, I was really disappointed. I thought it was kind of BS that Bob was not in the bottom and that Robbie was. So, and I also, honestly, Naomi to me should not have been the winner of that challenge. Now, I would have given it to Thorgy. The reason I say that is because I would have said Kimchi, but the way they screwed up that interpretive dance, in my opinion, that lost it for Kimchi. But Thorgy was consistent, the most consistent. So to me, that's who should have been the winner. Um, and then let's see, for the actual bottom two, like I said, it was Derek and Robbie, and they did their lip sync for your life. I thought they both did a really good job. I really did. But in the end, I put Derek as the winner, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Robbie took off her wig, and I don't see the point in that, and I find that silly. So the minute he did that, if you don't have another wig under there, you don't need to be taking off the first one. So in that case, he lost. Up till then, he was doing really well. They both were. And I thought it was going to be one of those where RuPaul kept both people. But in this case, I think Robbie really lost it at that moment. So Robbie did indeed sashay away, and that was really unfortunate. I hated to see him go, but somebody's always got to go. And Derek got to stay and was very emotional. And somebody online said, "Oh, it seemed rehearsed." I swear, every time somebody gets emotional on this show or sometimes other shows, people think it's rehearsed. I don't think every time someone gets emotional, it's rehearsed. Guess what, people? They're human. They have emotions, and sometimes they come out. These are long, drawn out things that they're going through, and it's a competition, and a lot of them are very serious about it. So I believe it was real. So I could be wrong, but I believe it was real. I thought it was really nice, the interaction between, by the way, the Little Women of LA and these drag queens on this show, of course. And I like, it seems like every time they do a makeover challenge, they really make some good connections. And I thought the women seemed to really enjoy themselves and enjoy working with the queens. And so I know when somebody is booted off, then that person backstage feels bad too, and you could tell she did. So, but anyway, we are down to 6 queens, so we're halfway through this season. And we've got some great queens left. I mean, I think right now my top 3 are Kimchi, Thorgy, and who's the other one? Wait a minute. Let me look here. Oh gosh, I would say Bob. So Kimchi, Thorgy, and Bob. Even though Bob's not my favorite, he's really good. And so those would be my top 3, which leaves Derek, Naomi, and Chi Chi as the other 3. And I would certainly agree that they are not the top 3. Now, Chi Chi could surprise us and make it further than I think. And I kind of hope so. I'd love to see Bob get out and Chi Chi stay, because from the beginning, I didn't feel like Chi Chi was a contender, but she's really been doing very well, I think. So, anyway, we'll see what happens, but those are my choices as of right now. I'll talk to you guys next week.